who is this program going to benefit? What sort of situations can I use it for?
We've probably touched on quite a few of them. Really, it's best for contexts where you're trying to persuade somebody of something, and so it's pretty much anywhere where you're interacting with another person and you want to get your ideas across.
Yep.
But preferably it's for those more complex, more long-term situations rather than the instant whiz-bang. So people who have used it successfully include systems analysts and business analysts in computing, consultants of various kinds, people in market research, people in... I've spoken at a number of companies where they create the interfaces between computers and people, where there's a particular kind of research called user experience research. They're finding it particularly valuable because they want to find out what people really think of the websites, not what they say they think, which makes it quite an interesting... People who are using it successfully include various medical professionals, such as doctors, who are using it to help first find out what the problem is with the person, but also to encourage them to take their medicine or equivalent. Again, it's in the context of a long-term relationship where you need to maintain rapport rather than just push something on somebody.
Yeah, and I know patient compliance is a huge thing, isn't it? Where people just don't take the pills, they flush them down the toilet, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and what ridiculous cost to a health service.
Yeah.
It's just silly. And of course, the other kind of place that people are using this successfully is in personal relationships. So, with children and teenagers, between partners, in marriages. Somebody was saying that just on the basis of watching the Two Lazy Jedi video, he tried it out on his mother, and he got all sorts of interesting and great results from that. Just suddenly understood what she was talking about, when previously she'd been on a different wavelength. It's that sort of cross-cultural bit where you're talking between the generations, or even between, say, English speakers in India and English speakers in the UK. Some of this stuff can really make a difference there. So all these kind of places. So it's a bit broad. You know, the official marketing advice is to select your niche with pinpoint accuracy. Well, I haven't done that. It is useful to anybody who's interested in those kind of long-term persuasion contexts. But what I do know is that it's not for hit-and-run merchants, and it's not for the faint-hearted. It can take a certain amount of courage to do something which is not the same as what everyone else is doing, and sort of get out of your own way and actually do what is necessary to.
So here's the bit that I'm really interested in, because this is the how-to. So if you're going to teach me or somebody about how to discover somebody's unconscious metaphors, what would you ask me to do? Is there a sequence? Is there anything you'd ask me specifically not to do?
I mean, there is a sequence, and at one level you've got the building blocks. If you've watched those 3 videos, you've got the raw material to put it together for yourself. And say, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use what I've got to find out about people's unconscious metaphors. The information is there. The one piece that isn't included in the videos, which I would urge you to take on board, is that when you're first experimenting with this, ask about metaphors for things that people want and want more of. The good stuff, the nice stuff, the pleasant stuff, the stuff they enjoy, and the stuff that makes them smile.
But not about traumatic experiences or...
Exactly. And often when you initially listen out for metaphors, the first ones, the big shiny ones you'll hear, will be metaphors for unpleasant things.
Right.
And on the full programme I explain about why that is so, and what you can do about it. But the key piece is if you start to investigate those unpleasant metaphors, you will engage the person's emotions in that unpleasantness.
Sure. Yeah.
And what happens is, well, it's really very unpleasant for both the questioner and the person being questioned. They're experiencing unpleasant emotions there and then in front of you. And if you're not skilled and confident about how to change that situation, it can really be quite alarming.
Mm-hmm.
But in the full course, there are a whole bunch of more specific questioning patterns that you can use. So what I've just described is a sort of a blunt instrument.
Yeah.
The full course takes a lot more precision. It says, right, in this circumstance do this, in this circumstance do that. So it's got a lot more detail. And also in the full course we explore a bunch of specific applications. What I keep talking about this course, but I better just say the home study course is based on a series of audio recordings of me teaching a small group how to do this. And on those recordings you hear them say, right, I went off and used this part to do whatever. So there's one guy who's he's a fitness coach, and he teaches people to fight, boxing, martial arts, that kind of stuff. And he was saying, well, I've used these questions to help them to punch harder.
Right.
I mean, is that ethical? Not sure. But anyway, his clients punch harder as a result of this. In another context, somebody's saying, well, I've used these to persuade a TV producer to listen to my suggestion. This guy was actually appearing as one of the participants in a TV program, and he used these to persuade the producer, who's one of these big shots. They don't actually sit in a director's chair, but that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He persuades the TV producer to accept his suggestions for how the program should be, without causing the producer to lose face.
As a trainer myself, I know that one of the signs of a really good course is when the students come back and they tell you about how they've applied the stuff that you've taught them in ways that you yourself would never have thought of. And that's a sign they've really taken hold of it, and they're really going with it, and they've got it.
That's one of the reasons I love the comments that are being put underneath the videos on the video pages. People saying, well, I've done this and I've done that. It's like, oh yes, they're using it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point. I'm not doing this just to make money, though of course I am doing it to make some money. The point is to get the people using the stuff, get it out there.
Yeah.
Get people experimenting with it. Because I really believe it will do some good. Well, I suppose people will probably be interested about when they can get hold of the full programme. At the moment, I'm putting the finishing touches to the sort of the offer package. I'm arranging various special bonuses and those kind of things for when it finally goes on sale. So I want to...
Yeah, you can have one of mine in there, aren't you, as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we want to make sure that the package that people get exceeds their expectations, that it doesn't just meet them, it goes way above that. So I'm just putting the finishing touches to that at the moment, but we hope to make it available from Tuesday the 23rd of November. So fingers crossed it should become available that day. Also on that day, I'm hoping to organise a webinar that everybody can dial into and hear more about the product and about all this stuff, and learn some more bits and pieces about how they can apply it, even if they don't buy the product, let's be honest.
Yeah, because you've given away some really powerful stuff already.
That's the idea. So what I'm needing for the webinar, if people are watching this before the 23rd of November, could they please ask their questions on those video pages so that I can answer them on the webinar? So if there's any burning questions that haven't been answered in this interview, get them down on paper, I nearly said, on the internet.
Yeah.
And I'll do my best to answer them on the webinar. And details of how to dial into that webinar will only be emailed to people who have given me their name and email address on one of my web pages.